I recently was traveling through Hong Kong and I had the most delicious sticky beef noodles. It was that good that I've tried to replicate it at home. I've almost got it. The key is to cooking the meat in a pressure cooker so it's nice and soft. So let's get started. This is chuck beef. Chuck beef has a nice amount of fat through it. Because it's a secondary cut, it's great for slow cooking or pressure cooking, which is what I'm going to do. The best thing about pressure cooking is you get those slow cooked results fast. So now we need to add some olive oil to our meat just to lightly coat it, along with a small pinch of salt, not too much salt because I will be adding some soy sauce, and just rub that all over. Now I've been preheating the cook for me so it's nice and hot to start sealing the meat. I've cut the chuck steak into 3 large chunks. I don't like it to be cubes because I want it to pull apart later on. So in with the meat. Nice sizzle. Now I'm going to seal this meat for about 2 minutes on each side or until we get a nice crust. In the meantime, let's get chopping with our vegetables. So, some ginger. The ginger I'm just going to slice and then pile them up. And this is just the easiest way to chop ginger. So into little matchsticks and then gather it, turn it around, and then finally chop. Okay, ginger done. Now for some garlic. Just bruise that and roughly chop it. The reason why I'm roughly chopping it is because once it cooks for 45 minutes in the pressure cooker, it becomes really soft and almost dissolves, so you don't need to worry about it being perfect. Okay. Spring onions. For the spring onions, I only want to use the white part and the light green part. But don't get rid of the dark green part because I can use this for a garnish later on. So we'll just chop that at this stage. So we'll use those later on. And then again, chopping these into rounds. Great. Let's turn the meat over. Oh, fantastic. Some nice colour on that meat. Give that a few more minutes. Let's get the sauce components ready in a bowl. I'll add 1/4 cup of soy sauce, roughly measured. Some honey. So it's going along the lines of salty and sweet. Just works so nicely with the beef. And we'll add that honey in, scrape all that out. I'll mix that together to dissolve the honey and some Shaoxing wine, which is just some Chinese cooking wine. Quite a lot of it. That sauce is ready. I've also got some water on standby and we'll add that later on. I'll take the meat out. Place it on a plate for now while we cook the vegetables. So 2 of these big handfuls can go in, and the last bit, and I'll add a splash of oil. Now with a wooden spoon, give that a mix. This is really hot, so it's just sweating down quite quickly. For some spices, 2 typical spices in Chinese cooking, some star anise, 3 small star anise, and Szechuan. I love Szechuan. It's got that numbing flavour to it and the warmth, so we'll add a small teaspoon of that. You want to toast that off along with our spring onions and the ginger and garlic. That's looking good. We can return our meat now. So our 3 chunks of chuck steak can just sit on top. Any juices from the plate can also go in. Don't waste that because that's flavour. And now our sauce can go in. 1 more stir just in case there's any of that honey on the base of it. And in it goes. We'll just mix that. And the last thing I want to add is just a splash of water. We don't need too much water. I don't even use stock for this because there's so much flavour in the soy and the honey and the zhaoxing. We just want this to make sure that it stays moist throughout the cooking process. I'd say about 1/4 cup of water. Now the lid can go on the cook for me and we'll lock it. I'm going to set it to pressure cooker mode. And timer, this is the best thing about this, you can time it for 45 minutes and walk away, forget about it, dinner will be ready. Too easy. This is cooked, the steam has released, and if you didn't want to eat this straight away, you could just put this on the keep warm function and it'll stay warm for a couple of hours. Now to plate this up, before we open this and show you how amazing the meat is, I'm going to plate it with some rice noodles. I like these rice noodles because they're flat and wide, and I'll add a generous amount just for one portion in the center of a bowl. And now for the beef. Let's open up the cook for me. Oh, that is the best smell. It smells fantastic. Now to serve, I'll grab one big chunk of this meat. Look at this, a rich color. The sauce is thick enough. If your sauce is too thin, what you could do is just add some corn flour, but this has just worked out perfectly, so I don't need to do that. And I think I'm going to need a big spoon to get as much sauce out of here as possible. So I'm just going to put this on an angle and then I'll spoon this over the meat and over the noodles. And the sauce is super glossy. I love this. And remember how I reserved the tops of the spring onions? Well, here they are. I just finely chopped them and then placed them into some iced water so they would curl. We'll add them to the top. And finally, the last thing I like to add is some sesame seeds, some toasted sesame seeds over the top. Now, have a look how soft this meat is. This just falls apart even with chopsticks. Oh, look at that. Dip it in the sauce. That meat is so tender, meltingly soft, sweet, salty from the honey and soy. I love this dish. You are going to love it. And if you make it in the pressure cooker, it's not going to take 3 hours. It's going to take 45 minutes.